Hello everyone, I am Chef Alora Brown of the Spice Fairy, and today we are going to bake brown sugar pecan scones. Thank you for joining me. Please comment below with your favorite scone flavors. I love hearing from my viewers. Before we jump into these scones, let me tell you that the full recipe is in the description box below. I start this recipe by preheating my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and gathering all of my ingredients. When baking scones, I prefer to start with my dry ingredients. Grab a large bowl, add 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a half a cup of brown sugar for sweetness and texture, 2½ teaspoons of baking powder to help the scones rise. The baking powder will not be working alone to lift the scones. The egg and the wet ingredients will help the scones to rise as well. The eggs in scones are what really sets them apart from biscuits because traditionally, biscuits do not contain eggs. And lastly, I am adding a half teaspoon of fine sea salt for balance. And now onto my favorite part, the butter. I cubed 1 stick of butter, then put it in the freezer for an hour so that it would be as cold as possible. The secret here is making sure your butter is frozen in order to withstand the kneading without melting. Pressing the butter between your fingers and into the dry ingredients will create a sand-like texture once fully incorporated. This process ensures a flaky and moist scone. It takes about 3 minutes of pressing to create the sandy texture. If you do not wish to use your hands, try utilizing a fork or dough cutter. Once you've created sand, move on to the wet ingredients. Take a half a cup of milk, 1 large egg, and 1½ teaspoons vanilla extract and whisk them together. Here I am using lactose-free milk because of my family's dairy intolerance. Feel free to use plant-based milk or heavy cream as substitutes. I did use real butter earlier because the higher the fat content in a dairy product, the lower the amount of lactose. For my family, the lactose levels found in butter are negligible. Once you have whisked the milk, egg, and vanilla together, pour the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. Mix the ingredients together with a fork to keep the butter from melting. The frozen butter that we pressed into the dough earlier has softened slightly at this point. If you use butter that has been frozen less than an hour, be sure to move quickly so that it does not melt. Do not forget to add your chopped pecans at this point. When your dough is about 80% combined, turn it out on a floured surface and with flour-dusted hands, knead the dough. You dust your surfaces and hands with flour to prevent the dough from sticking. Dusting does not require a ton of flour. A 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup should be enough. I dusted the surface to help me knead the dough. Scones do not require a lot of kneading. It is very easy to overwork the dough and create a tough scone. So I just knead until the crumbs and pecans are combined and I can no longer see any patches of dry dough. Form the dough into any shape as long as it is a 1/2 inch thick. Cut the dough using a floured knife, a floured pastry cutter, or floured cookie cutter. Once cut, place the scones onto a parchment-lined baking sheet. Be sure to place scones about 1 inch apart on your baking sheet. Lightly brush the tops with milk to help them brown. After about 15 to 20 minutes in the 400-degree oven, you will have brown sugar pecan scones. Now all we have left to do is to glaze them. The glaze is simple. It only contains about 1 cup of powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, and about 2 tablespoons of milk. As you can see, I'm not measuring. No need to be precise. You can eyeball it here. Stir until you have a glue-like consistency. To control the consistency, you can add more milk to thin it out or more powdered sugar to thicken it up. Making sure that you check on your consistency by watching how it flows from the spoon. I've added a bit of slow-mo so you can see what I mean when I say watch how it flows from the spoon. Then, with a sweeping motion back and forth, glaze your scones. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe for more content from the Spice Fairy.